Hey guys, welcome to the Friday Wrap. This is the first Friday Wrap we've done in a while. We had Thursday Thunder before Easter. We had the weekend edition, the weekend prior, because I can't remember why, but I missed the Friday Wrap. And last week I didn't get it done. The first one since February or March last year. I was then in Byron with my family for Easter. I had every intention of putting a Friday Wrap together. And unfortunately, the internet where I stayed was absolutely rubbish. And I actually couldn't do it. I couldn't create the video. I wouldn't have been able to upload it. So apologies I missed last week. So we'll make this week's one doubly good for the loss of last week. All right. You may not remember, you probably don't. The one that we did last, we talked about debt reduction or wealth creation. You know, what's the best use of your money? Should you be reducing debt? Should you be building wealth? It depends on your objectives. It depends on how old you are. It depends on all that sort of stuff. But let's say that we say we're going to be wealth creation. Then we need to have, choices, or we have choices to make as to what is that? And we need to make sure that we are invested appropriately. So that is the topic we're going to talk about today, being appropriately invested. Let me just do a very quick recap of that one prior. $1,000 a month invested, $12,000 a year, $25,000 becomes $465,000 in today's dollars, okay? Assuming a 7% return after tax in the situation that we had for that particular instance, which is great. What if we did debt reduction? Then they would have saved $137,000 on their loan. They would have accumulated $78,000, which is $48,000 in today's dollars. From memory, is about $185,000. So debt reduction or wealth creation, $185,000 for debt reduction, $465,000 for wealth creation. Pretty obvious which one you would take. But what about if we say, great, we're about wealth creation, then we need to make sure that we are appropriately invested. Now, backstory. I can't tell you the amount of times I have people ring me up or I meet them for the first time and they go, mate, whoever it is, my friend, my drinking buddy, my sister, the guy at work, his super has made X last year. And mine's not even close to that. What's wrong? And so we'll do some research into their super and they're not invested appropriately. I've found people who are in their 30s and low 40s who are in a conservative, option like this where they've got 75% of their assets in defensive assets when the market has been booming and they've missed out on all of that growth. So we need to make sure that we're invested appropriately. The very first thing we talk about in our Your Wealth, Your Way program is taking advantage of time. How do we do it? We split it into two. The first one is the ordinary done consistently produces extraordinary results. Get in control of your super. Make sure it's invested appropriately. This is the first things that come out of my mouth when I talk to people. So if we want to be invested appropriately, again, it depends on your circumstances. If you're young like me, 41 years old, that's young. I want to be in growth assets. Okay, so I want to be down here in all growth assets. In this instance, 45% Australian shares, 40% international, 15% property, 100% growth assets. When we do our modeling, we are conservative in our modeling. For example, for a growth aggressive option, we're modeling a 7% return. The last 10 years, historical has been 9.4%. So we maintain, a conservative nature in our modeling. It's a little bit of an under promise and hopefully over deliver nature, but we want to make sure that we're invested appropriately. That's the key thing. Let me show you in the real world how this works. This is called an index chart. I just got a whole bunch of these ones delivered this week. Now, little writing, I apologize. Growth of $100 since 1950. If you were here, the dark blue line, you can see the volatility, the financial crisis, COVID last year. If you're this dark blue line, it's at all Australian shares. It's returned 11.7% during that period of time, and you were $100 has become $260,000 in this chart. If you've gone a balanced investor, okay, the option of a balanced investor, it's returned 10.5%. It's pretty hard to read, but it's 10.5%. You have to count me on that one. $123,000. 11.7%, 10.5%, 1.2% difference. Remember, we say we want to utilize the full value of time. This here is 70 years worth of time. The difference in the investment is only 1.2%. The difference in the return is $140,000. It's more than 100% more. So you can see why it's so important that we are invested appropriately. You don't want to ever have your money invested in an inappropriate manner. I mean, it might work in your favor if you're in a defensive, conservative option and the market falls, but you just got lucky. You can see back here in the chart that the market is going to do, sorry, I'm in your way, what the market does. Look at the volatility. Look at the ups and the downs. We've always got to rely on history. History is no guidance as a future indicator and all that sort of stuff. But we've always had these heavy falls, but we've always had higher highs. Fall, higher highs. Fall, higher highs. Fall, higher highs. Fall. This one only took a year to catch back up. Okay? So we want to make sure that we're invested appropriately, which all has to do with your objectives, a lot to do with your age. But as I said right at the beginning, which I'll take you back to right now, being appropriately invested, super, trying to get myself back up there, super important. All right, guys, thanks for listening. We're back on the roll of the Friday wrap, so I'll see you next week. All right, bye.